In exercise 4, we need to modify the adapter even further, and instead of just passing in the cursor count, we need to pass the entire cursor so that the adapter can extract the guest information and display it in the recycler view properly. In guest list adapter, since we're passing in the entire cursor rather than just the count, let's replace this integer with a cursor variable called mCursor, and then modify the constructor to accept a new cursor rather than an integer, and inside, set the local mCursor to be equal to cursor. And then finally, update the getItemCount to return the getCount from the passed-in cursor object. Now, for the part where we bind the cursor data with the UI, just like a typical recycler view adapter, we will override the onBindViewHolder and inside bind the data at a specified position to the view holder passed in. But before we do that, let's have a quick look at what the result of a query looks like. A result of any selection query is formed as a table. If you select everything from a database table, then the result table is identical to that table. A result of any selection query is formatted as a table. If you select everything, for example, then the result is identical to that database table. You can think of the cursor as if it's pointing to a particular row in that result. To extract information from a particular row, you can move the cursor to point there and then extract the specific column information. For example, to get the guest name in the 4th row, move the cursor to the 4th position and then call getString, passing in the index of that column. To do so in the onBindViewHolder, first thing we need to do is call the mCursor.moveToPosition, passing in the current binding position. And this will move the cursor to the point where we have the data that we're interested in. It will return false if there is no data there, or if it's out of the bounds of the cursor. So make sure you add a check, and if it's not true, just return. If everything's good, then we can get the name of the guest and the party size from that cursor. To get the guest's name, use mCursor.getString, and then pass in the index of that column, which you can get also using the getColumnIndex function in the cursor, and then just pass in the column name, which we can get from the contract. The same can be done to get the party size, except that we're using the getInteger instead of the getString. Then, to reflect this information in the UI, we just set the text for the holder .nameTextView and partySizeTextView. We've already created all the UI for you. However, if you're interested, check out this activity main XML file and see how these text fields have been created. Now, the very last step is to update main activity, and instead of passing in the getCount of the cursor, just pass in the entire cursor. And if we run this now, voila, we get the actual names and party sizes for each of our fake guests. Perfect. Now let's start adding guests of our own. But as always, remember to try everything we've done yourself.